Hey guys, before we get started, just want to take a quick moment to thank Deer Camp Coffee and Yeti for everything they do to help keep us awake and energized for the whole show to keep you guys entertained. Make sure you subscribe and stick around to all BowHunterPlanet stuff so you can get into chances to win things. And hey, let's have some fun.
The BHP podcast is presented by BowHunterPlanet.com. Join the hunt.
The BHP podcast is proudly presented by Cold Steel Knives, HHA Sports, Reveal Cellular Cameras by Tacticam, Element Outdoors, Skull Hooker, Scott Archery, and Burris Optics.
Hey everyone, this is Tim for BowHunterPlanet. Make sure you check out the new podcast, Respect the Game, wherever you find your podcasts. All right, everybody, welcome to the BowHunterPlanet podcast. Myself, Tim Mazarana, Dave Thomas, James Noteboom, special guest today, Todd DeCapua, who is a Team BHP member and businessman. So Todd, we're excited to have you on, man. We wanted to hear a little bit about you, who you are, what you do. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Cool. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I think most of the people I know, they either know me as a business person or they know me as an outdoorsman or maybe even a family guy. But I guess to most people in the professional community, I've spent way too long, probably about 25 years now. I've kind of built up this reputation of being this passionate software executive, a technology evangelist, a business leader. And really, when you look across that spectrum, all of this being real hands-on in a leadership role. So I'm still slinging code, working, for a great organization now. You may have heard of them. It's called Splunk. So, a lot of people kind of chat, there's a little like laughing a little.
That's awesome.
Right? But we're basically the Google of big data. So with everything going on in the world, just all the data that's coming in. And again, it's cool to be a part of a company that's doing some really cool stuff around COVID-19 and everything else. So it's fun, man.
Todd, I have to say, I'm extremely impressed on your, I saw the video online of you talking in front of a whole bunch of people about business process and stuff with the stuff you do. And it was very impressive, honestly. It reminded me of me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just kidding. But it was really, really well done. Honestly.
I try to channel the inner Dave when I do. No,
don't do that. Don't.
Oh, sorry.
God, listen. This world can only handle one Dave. Trust me.
That's true.
I've known him. God, how long have we known each other, Dave? Probably
Too long.
35 years.
Yeah.
36
years.
Yeah. Long time. long time. So thank you for that, but no thank you for that.
Gotta hate you.
I love it. So Todd, you're a Team BHP member. Thank you for that. We love it. What we love to hear is how people got into hunting, what got you involved, who were your inspirations then and now?
Awesome. So again, there's a long list of people I would need to thank. I'm just kidding. So
Dave Thomas. Who else?
Exactly. This guy Tim Mazzarelli or Mazzarelli, I think is his name. Now, is that a Maserati you're actually sitting? No, it's a trailer.
I wish.
He likes to talk like this. Hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
The good fellows. Hey.
There you go. So I think it's kind of fun, right? You look back, where did we all start? How did we get into hunting? It seems like you've got groups of people whom, this is what they grew up doing and their families and enjoying things like that. For me, it was a little bit the opposite. My dad was actually an Army officer. And when I was born, my mom said, no weapons in the house. You need to get rid of your stuff. So it kind of grew up that. And then I think when I turned 10 or so, I was like, I really want to start shooting a bow. And my dad was like, oh, really? So next thing you know, go out, we picked up a bow, probably for Christmas or something like that. And it was funny because I always go back to what was that bow? And it was a PSE Polaris, so round wheels and, I don't know who, the gray, black camouflage they came out with, but that was interesting. And then I went to the University of Delaware, and at the university, I ended up meeting my roommate, who was this guy, Peyton Emerson. And yes, by name, Eastern Shore, Maryland boy, and huge hunter. His dad taught me how to shoot skeet, which again, like I'd never had a shotgun in my hands for bird hunting. And next thing you know, he's like, well, we pretty much just hunt with bows. And I was like, well, that's great, because I'm a great shooter of a bow, can walk out in my backyard to 30 yards. And he goes, no, it's a little bit different. So did have an opportunity to go out with him and his dad. We did a couple management gun hunts. But next thing you know, I just fell in love with bow hunting. And in the state of Delaware, we don't have the biggest deer in the world, but we do have an awful lot of good state land. And especially around the University of Delaware, they have a few different state parks that you can go to. It's a lottery in the morning, but then if you don't get picked for the lottery, you can always drive down the street, maybe 15 minutes or so, and they have a tag board and their zones, so you can just go and park there. The funny thing is, I was driving a Mustang at the time. So here we are, a two-door Mustang, right, with my V8 and my stick. And everybody used to joke with me, they're like, where the hell are you going to put your deer? So believe it or not, you can fit 3 deer and a tree stand in a Mustang.
I love it. You sound like my pastor, who is an avid hunter. He drives a Prius.
Okay.
And you should see this guy load his equipment in there. He's got the hitch on the back, deer on the back of it, deer on the top of it. It's ridiculous.
Gotta be a little creative, but you find a way.
That's hilarious.
I love it, man. Yeah. So Delaware, I was gonna say Delaware is not a big state, man. Like I was there a couple of years ago. We did a 1-week stint up in what was it? Cape Penelope State Park.
Cape Penelope.
Amazing, beautiful area, but I never really kind of looked at it like, man, this would be cool to hunt.
It's interesting. So it's a bigger bird hunting area. There is some deer, but yeah, I mean, Cape Penelope, there's tons of deer down there. Killen's Pond's another one down that way. But again, it's a beautiful. The state's really done a nice job of keeping up that public land and having land like that for Delaware hunters. So yeah, they've done a nice job.
That's awesome. I learned something when I was there too. We were doing some hiking and all that kind of stuff out there, and we found a lizard. I had no clue that you guys had lizards in Delaware that far north. That was the weirdest thing to me. Like we're walking by, and on the side of the tree, there's this, I don't know what it was. There's this lizard sitting on a tree. I'm like, what the heck is that thing? Like in Delaware? Like that was the weirdest thing.
Is that normal, Todd?
Well, it's funny, and I think what attracts people to hunting, what attracts people to the outdoors, and I think the more people that I speak with, it's like, oh, so how many do you catch, right?
Yeah,
right.
But
none.
Part of what you're talking about, Tim, I mean, that's the experience. Again, why do you hunt? How do you start, etc. But lizards, I don't think they're the standard around here. The nice thing is, no gators yet. No real poisonous snakes to speak of yet. But it's funny that you say that, because I was doing some stand maintenance a couple weeks ago. Me and my buddy were out, and I looked down, and here's an orange lizard that's like 4 inches long. I was like, what the heck is this? I've never seen anything. But again, I think us as outdoorsmen, you kind of look and appreciate those things. Yeah. So again, it's, taking the picture, and then next thing you know, my buddy wants to see it, his wife wants to see it. But, I think you look around and you start to see things that maybe not your average person would or would not straight away.
Yeah, no doubt. And you got to spend the time to do it, right? Like your average person, they're walking on a paved trail, all that kind of stuff. They're not going to see that kind of thing. So that's kind of cool. So do you remember your first deer that you took?
I do. It's funny because it was on my buddy's farm. So
in Delaware?
In Delaware. Yeah, so it was, there's a guy, so there's 2 big industries, like banking is big in Delaware, but agriculture, specifically chickens. And there's actually more chickens in the state of Delaware than there are people. So this guy was a chicken farmer, and he was another roommate of mine from college. And he just said, hey, why don't you come on down, blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah, all right, I'll bring my grunt call, I'll bring this, I'll bring that. And felt like I was all prepared. And yeah, man, that first one, I think you kind of remember all of them over time as, oh yeah, see this, you see a picture, or you look at your mount on the wall, and it just, you can play it all back for you. But yeah, I cleanly remember the first one. Unbelievable. It was a early December morn. I'm sorry, it was an afternoon hunt. So we go in, and he sets me up on the corner of a field, and he goes, you're a good shot, right? And I said, yep. He goes, okay. I was like, I'm going to shoot for a big one, so I'll let him pass. And I think to this day, I've never seen as many bucks in one sit. I probably saw 30 to 35 bucks that night. They were just all over the place. But it was kind of getting towards last light. And again, a cold December, maybe the 5th or 6th of December. Next thing you know, here comes this monster at 300 yards, big 9-pointer, but just a beefy neck, beefy body. I mean, he dressed it like it was like 260 some pounds, which is a monster for that area. But it was one of those, like, you can play it back in slow-mo still. That was in 95. But you watch this chest go up, and next thing you know, you see the steam come out of his nose, and you're like, holy smokes. So anyway, I called him into about 120 yards, and he walked in broadside. I was like, well, you know what, buddy? This is your last step. So,
no doubt.
Put the crosshairs on him. Slug gun, not a bow, but you know, popped him. He did the death leap, you know, jumped 6.5 feet up in the air or so, and just fell dead. And I was like, holy smokes, you gotta be kidding me, you know? And the funny thing was my buddy Chad, and before he got married, is when that hunt was. I think he got married in the spring, and I'll never forget. I got you know, sit down at their table. Next thing you know, I'm being introduced as, this is Todd. He's the guy who shot the big buck on the farm. And of course, you know, the guy across from, oh yeah, I've been watching that one for 3 years and blah, blah, blah. So
Yeah.
anyway, that was my first deer that I killed. So again,
That's funny.
funny
I think, Jamie, didn't you just post something to Team BHP about that? You're like a meme that said like, hey, I've been watching that deer for 3 years, and like on the other side, it's like, yeah, if you want to see it again, I'll open my freezer.
Todd, tell us about your hunting land. Like, where do you hunt? How much land is it? How long have you been on it?
Yeah, so there's a couple little private spots that I've gotten into over time, and again, part of it goes back to the professional part, which has been an interesting intersect, I think, Dave. So there's a guy named Rudy. He was the CIO for ING Direct here in Wilmington. I worked for Rudy, and next thing you know, he's telling me all these deer he's got in his yard and Lyme disease and tearing up the shrubs and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, you know, how much property do you have? And let me come have a look. Well, next thing you know, there's 3 5-acre lots in a row, and all of the neighbors had problems. So I said, well, you know, I can go ahead and have a look at that. So next thing you know, I'm hunting that property, and it's been amazing that, you know, on that property, I used to see 30 to 35 deer a night, and I could literally set my watch to when they were going to walk across the street and come up my shooting lane. Well, that's been a phenomenal property. And then I was really blessed. It was a pancake breakfast, probably like 12 to 15 years ago. And somehow, some way, one of the other guys, I never met him at the breakfast, but next thing you know, afterwards, he calls me and he goes, hey, I hear you're a hunter. And I was like, yep. He goes, well, I've got a 250-acre property that's 15 minutes from your house. And right now we've got, you know, 15 or 17 guys that are bow hunting it. And oh, by the way, we have severe crop damage tags. And I was like, well, what's severe crop damage tags? Well, we can start hunting on the 15th of August and we go through the 15th of May.
Wow.
9 months out of the year.
Okay, so first of all, that never happens. Nobody ever calls anybody and says, hey man, here you're a hunter.
What do they want?
Come out and shoot a deer for me. Like, that's just, I can't even say it. That's BS.
Well,
it sounds like something Ron Reslow would fall into.
Oh God, the stories about Ron and how he got his properties are
Lucky
just,
man.
I tell those stories all the time because they're the stupidest stories.
yeah.
I mean, come on, really?
No, seriously. And, you know, I'll throw another cherry on top of this whole deal is the fact that, you know, with a severe crop damage property, Fish and Wildlife, and again, right now we're hovering at about 8 to 10 times what a healthy deer herd would be for the state of Delaware. So we need to harvest some animals. And so we have, I think it's 50 tags that are antlerless for that property. So again, you know, opening day of gun season last year, I had 4 of them walk down. I ended up popping 2. And then I'm actually on the phone with one of my buddies who was, you know, I knew he was hunting that morning. And I said, hey, do you mind, you know, bringing me 2 red tags? And he's like, oh yeah, no problem. I was like, oh wait, hold on a second. I hung up. And next thing you know, one of the other 2 were walking back. So I had to pick my gun up, pull a shell out of my pocket, throw it in, pop the 3rd one. So then I had to ring him back and say, you know, can you bring me a 3rd tag? He goes, how did I know that was you? You know, and I was like,
I love it, man. That's awesome.
So those are some of the properties. We've got great state property. And again, my nephew, he lives about 25 minutes south of me. So I can cruise down, pick him up at his place, my brother's house. And then next thing you know, 5 minutes away, I can climb into a public tree, set him up right next to me. And again, we're going to have fun.
That's awesome, man. So I could take a wild guess and say that when you're bow hunting, you're shooting a bear?
How did you guess? Yes. Actually, it's sad. Between me and my 3 kids, we have 7 bows. So I was shooting 4 of them up to this afternoon. And I had a bow, an old bear. It was a 2013. And every once in a while, I try to kind of find a younger person or somebody that would be able to get into shooting and into hunting. And I was just really fortunate to find this individual. And, 18 years old, straight out of high school, but very, very interested. And his stepfather is also an archer. He shoots another brand, but again, he's like, yeah, this is a phenomenal bow. And again, give him a good deal, give him a bow, set him up for life. And then I've got another one. I got a buddy I'm trying to unload to. I got to get down to 2 bows. Just met with Alec, who's the new the product marketing guy over at Bear last week. And again, Dave, I heard you earlier today, some of the stuff that's coming out. I continue to be impressed across manufacturers. Like the innovation that's coming out is phenomenal. So again,
like how do they do it? How do you do it? Like you would think, 2-3 years ago we'd been maxed out, but yet they still continually figure out things. It's unreal to me.
Well, the fact that their cycles are like 2 years ahead, too. It's like, how do you know that that's what I wanted 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
What is this? The Click? What's that movie called where he goes back and forth?
Right.
Yeah.
Love it, man.
Let's talk about Bear, though. So Bear, Alec is new over there, which is really exciting. It's always exciting to get new people in there. But they represent a lot of the brands like you have behind you. And there's so many great things there. And Kevin, who just joined us, is a Bear shooter specifically for us, too. So he uses the crossbow and the compound. He killed his first buck with the G2, which was really exciting. And it was perfect for him because he wanted to pull something with less poundage. And we had this conversation with Bear originally that, he was looking to tell that story. The story of he's retired. He wants a bow that he can still shoot a deer with his bow, and he never kill a deer with a bow. So it was very exciting, the whole story of that, which actually I still think we need a video for that. I don't think we ever finished it. But it's such a great thing. And that was one of the things I told Bear when I talked to him just the other day. I said, the one thing about Bear that is interesting to me, and people might not know this, and I tell it in every video we do about Bear, is Bear is one of the only companies that actually stretch from youth all the way to, retirement. I mean, they have done such a great job of having a bow that price points every $100 almost in those segments, and that people can, there's so much to choose from, and they agree. They said that's something they're looking into now to get, the market, that concept. But I said, not just that, but you got Fred Bear. You guys have the biggest gem, the biggest diamond in the rough that anybody could ever find. You have that guy that you can use for your marketing, like constantly, because he's like the godfather of archery. Everybody loves Fred Bear. I can't. The one person to talk bad about Fred Bear is Tim. That's the only guy here. I
was just gonna say the exact opposite. That actually goes multi-generational, because you got Fred Bear, but then you got a guy like Ted Nugent, who knew Fred Bear, who got him into hunting. That is probably one of the biggest promoters of the archery industry that you can have right now.
That's right.
Does Ted shoot bear?
I don't know if he should. No, I don't know.
Oh,
but Ted always tells the story about Fred Bear and the name, and it just continues that brand.
Yeah, he doesn't shoot a bear, but that's not because of he wouldn't. I think it's one
right.
But,
right.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. He tells the story, and the song keeps going. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Todd, which bout are you shooting right now?
Sorry, I was playing Fred Bear from Ted Nugent.
No problem.
Yep. Opening day, buddy. Opening day. That's our song.
Is it? Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
So I'm paring down the 2 bows. So my leading bow and the one that I'm using almost every time I go out is the Status Echo. So I don't know if you've seen that bow yet, but man, it's 33 axle to axle. We got a 6-inch on the brace, and tonight I was just shooting before I jumped on here, and it's such a smooth draw. I've got mine set at 90% let off. Nice. And it's just it's ridiculous. And it's almost like when you get back at 90%, like I was just teaching a guy on Sunday, and I said to him, I was like, here's all how you want to hold, here's all this other stuff. And I'm sitting here holding it back, and he goes, that's a 70 or 73 pound bow. And he's like, yeah. I said, yeah. So he's like, well, you just been holding it for how many minutes? And I was like, I don't understand. Like, this bow is so easy to hold. The challenge is when you have to go to let it down at that 90% let off, or if you stick it on your bow scale. I mean, you just have to be super, super careful with it.
Yeah, that's this one here. Oh, of course it goes to the commercial. So it's like, get it out there. Yeah, no, we tested this bow. This bow was sick. Yeah, they did a great job. I'll forward here, see if I can.
And not a lot of people know that I drew that logo with crayons.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. Yeah, but they did some great stuff with these bows. And this let-off idea, Todd, that they did was pretty cool, man. To have that ability to adjust it, I mean, seriously, that's like crazy.
And again, Dave, it's like, we think about the engineering that's going into these things now. This is absolutely nuts. I like the fact that we don't have yokes anymore on these. It actually, I found it makes it easier to tune them. But again, there's so much in this bow right now, and the way the draw cycle is unbelievable. Before that, the other bow I'm still shooting is my 2019 Divergent, and it's a 28-inch axle to axle. A lot of people are like, it's a pain to shoot, but I'll tell you what, it's actually made me a better archer shooting that bow. And I think last year I probably killed over 20 deer with that bow last year. Wow. But it's just a phenomenal performer. Yeah, I didn't get my echo until like January, but again, being able to hunt from January through the middle of May, again, I was still slaying them, and I took that.
That's cool, man.
I love the Echo. That was one of my favorite bows they did. I love the size of it. To me, it was one of the coolest bows they did. It's small, it's light, it's very efficient, very effective bow. I love, the guys will make fun of me, but I love the grip on it. It's it's very flat back, and I do love the way it feels in the hand. So I guess my thing is, if I'm shooting a bear like this year, I would shoot this bow. To me, this bow right here is everything I want in a bow, especially the size, and like you said, makes you better, when you're shooting a smaller bow, it's going to have more movement and all that stuff. But at the same time, if you don't pull a lot of weight and everything, I don't really have an issue at all. So, and I pull 60 pounds. So for me, I can really get away with any bow I want in that category. But yeah.
Well, and Bear's been one of those brands that we talk about a lot. We talk about them because Bear was one of those brands that kind of fell off the radar a little bit, right? Like many, many years ago, like you just didn't hear about them. They were around because their brand, you know, Fred Bear, all that kind of stuff. But they have really, really stepped up their game in the last, not a couple of years. It's been longer than that now. But they have really become a premier bow out in the segment, which is absolutely awesome to see a name like Bear continue that tradition.
Yeah, I think, Tim, around that time frame you're talking about is when the Carnage was launched. The Carnage kind of changed the game for Bear. There was a while there, we started this in 2009, and there was a while where it was kind of just, Bear was Bear. There wasn't anything great or special. That Carnage lineup started this whole trend for them of this amazing looking bows that really changed their business structure, in my opinion. They really stepped out of the box when they went into that Carnage. And that was where, you had like 2 string stops. It was just really cool looking. And to be honest with you, I felt like it was the first full step of this is us. This is our image. This is who we're going to be. And what I was most proud of Bear this past few years was the Perception. When the Perception came out, it told me, that bow wasn't just I'm making a bow. It was a statement. It was a statement to the industry that said, we can make a $1,500 bow. No problem. I know you guys don't want to spend that much money, but hey, guess what? We can do it. We want to prove to you we can do it, and here it is. And that bow is amazing. People who have never shot that bow or have no idea what they're missing. That bow is definitely one of the top bows in the industry, and people don't even realize it. And I can't believe we're actually giving one away because I don't know why I stupidly agreed to that. But either way, someone's going to win that bow, and that's insane. Like, that's literally insane. Someone on Team BHP. So good for them. They're going to love this bow. I hope to God they don't even shoot it or something, just sell it, because I'm telling you guys, that bow it'll run with any bow in the market, any bow, any price point too, because it's really that top notch.
I did not know we were giving one away. I'll have to find out exactly how I get it.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
But no, Alec, it was funny. I was on a Zoom with him, and he's like, yeah, I hung up my other bow and I had to get a bear. And I was like, oh, yeah. And he reaches behind him and pulls out a Perception and iron. I was like, oh, man, that thing is beautiful. My Kumo with iron.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And now, I will say from a finish perspective, at the ATA show is when they showed the first, I believe it was the first status in Fredbear camo.
Oh,
and
so cool.
When I saw that, I was like, all right, that's the one I have to have. And I called the product marketing guy at the time, and I was like, Jack, the one I want is going to, and I don't care if it's the one that was off the ATA show floor. Bear. And he goes, well, we haven't really announced that yet. And I was like, I don't care. Just put my order in, and when they're ready, ship it. So anyway, I did an opening the box of that, and you can see it up there. But the Fredbear camo is unbelievable. Again, I would love the fact that my Team BHP hat is actually fairly close to that. So
yeah, here it is. This finish is legit.
God, that's a beautiful bow, man. It really is.
And it actually has the bear logo in it. So for those who haven't seen it up close, it actually has a little bear logo inside of it. It is beautiful.
Signature too.
Oh, does it? That's cool.
Yep.
So this is what you would have found on the original Fredbears back in the day. This camo is kind of like the first thing he put out. And this is before camos, guys. This isn't like, the Realtree era. This is way before that.
The red flannel just came off, right?
Yep. So, but yeah, they offer, just to throw this out there, they offer Realtree. They got, I believe, this is Veil. Yeah, Veil. One Night, Midnight, Veil again, the Fredbear camo, and then iron, which the iron we were talking about is sharp and beautiful looking color. Anyway, so which of the broadheads are you using then?
So I play around a lot. I've shot some of the Rocket hammerheads, which are, they're a massive cut. I think it's a 2.5-inch blade. So again, pretty devastating. Unfortunately, where I hunt, it's extremely rocky. So no matter what head you're shooting, it's going to get tore up after it passes through. I've also played around with a bunch of the 6. So it's I think it's the FX4 that I've really liked. It's a fixed blade. They set it up actually for a crossbow. But it's a fixed blade, so it's got the 2 big blades, and then it's got 2 little bleeders on the side. And I shoot the 100 grain one of that. It's pretty devastating. I smacked a doe last year with it, and it just really nice cuts. Yeah, that's the one I've got right there. These are a really nice broadhead. They actually hold up really well. They're easy to resharpen.
Wow, yeah, that looks a lot bigger when you see it like that,
Yeah. It cuts on the way in. It'll cut on the way out. The other thing is, I've never had any problems with, you look at this style of a broadhead, and only once have I had the whole head kind of break off, and it was shot into like an 8-inch rock, after it passed through. So again.
Yeah, this is the one I wanted to shoot a deer with. I haven't done it yet. So Jack sent us some of these last year, but I'm really interested in this channel idea.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what happens here.
My buddy Mike Shannon up in the Boston area, he shoots these and he loves them. I have not tried them out yet.
Yeah, I'm curious how it's going to work with this. We got to get one of these guys. That bow shooter thing, that's amazing. But anyway.
Yeah, it looks like you would just devastate the deer with it. Like the way that the blades, because usually the blades are in line with each other, right?
Yeah.
When it's going through a deer, the way that that's separated, it just increases your surface area of the hole that you're gonna make, and that's pretty cool, man. I like that.
I think that was the concept, right? Is to try to create an actual channel. So I was curious on that myself, and if it would.
I'm a fixed blade guy typically, but that one's pretty intriguing.
Yeah, I don't know if you could shoot that on a crossbow, though, Tim. I don't know.
Well, that's true. Yeah. That might be too much.
I don't know.
No, you're right. You're right.
Oh, here's crossbow here. So they have that one, which still does sort of a channel. Oh, here you go. Yeah. Crossbow. There you go. That's it. That just has a stronger top part. That's why.
What seconds does that go up to?
This one, it's not going to be covered by you, but
470.
It doesn't.
Right. The crossbows nowadays are ridiculous with their speeds.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It doesn't say there, but that's a great question, no problem. Anyway, all right. Where was I here? Stop share. All right, here. Cool. Kevin, are you muted?
No, I'm just listening.
Sorry. Thought you said something. Wasn't sure. How'd everything go today with seeding? Did you get all that done yesterday?
Yeah, I was so tired after I was done.
Kevin's been plowing, seeding.
I was out there in the pouring rain. I said, I gotta get this in while we're getting some rain because it's been so dry,
Yeah. Kevin, did you decide on which bear you're shooting this year?
No, I'm still trying to. I mean, I know which crossbow, but I can't make up my mind on a bow. It's so hard.
Yeah. You better get shooting. I was thinking that.
Season is coming, my friend. Winter is coming.
I'll be ready. It's like riding a bike for me, Set it up.
So Todd, what has been for you in because obviously you come from the business industry. It's very, business. It's very complex. It's stressful. I mean, all of us have real day jobs, so we understand that part that you're in. What is the thing about the hunting industry that you see as like different, or how does the hunting industry work in your mind compared to like real business stuff that you would consider real?
Yeah, so it's interesting, and just to give a quick background, I guess it was about 10 years ago when I was able to get into the industry per se. There was a gentleman named Bruce Hudala that was out of Minnesota who had started Hudala Associates, and one of my good buddies, Rob Fryer, he's down in the Baltimore area. He was a sales guy for Bruce, and as I kind of looked over Bruce's shoulder, what I saw is he had set up a business where a lot of the small and medium-sized product companies, couldn't afford to have the big marketing programs and all those, go-to-market strategies that other larger organizations were benefiting from. So he set up a model where he had, a dozen or so salespeople across the United States and went out and represented those products. Again, one of those being bear archery is one of the main supporting ones that we had, but we supported maybe 25 or so major outdoor products. So again, phenomenal opportunity. Had a chance to do that for several, like 8 or 10 years, I guess. Unfortunately, Bruce ended up closing the business about 2 years ago. That's when I kind of flipped and went direct with Bear, and that's when, Big Shot Archery. I mean, over there you got Al, and then there's Ashley over at Freedom Strings, and then you got Randy up at Black Eagle Arrows. And I've been very fortunate and blessed to work with all of those companies. But, what's really different? So, again, you're right. Like I've been through ING Direct, JPMorgan Chase, Hewlett-Packard, an Israeli startup with Shunra Software. Now I'm with Splunk. And having those opportunities, as I compare and contrast them, one of the things that I see is a commonality, I guess, is a lot of relationships. And I think the longer you work in a space, the more people you get to know, whatever that space is. And, even in my day-to-day professional career, again, like today, something popped up and I was like, oh, do you want me to just call my buddy, Richard over in London, who works at this bank? I was like, I could just have a conversation with him and kind of see what's going on. So he and I are going to catch up on Saturday. But I think it's a very, very similar thing, in the outdoor space. And if you narrow that down into the hunting space and then even into the bow hunting, is you have a lot of those relationships. And, as you think about products, again, company to company, there's a certain amount of, you can't raise the curtain completely, clearly, as you're developing and delivering new products and capabilities to your customers. But there's a friendly competition that's out there. And knowing that, at the end of the day, what we're looking to do is bring that passion and the enthusiasm for the outdoors into, the people that are going to be kind of learning it, doing it, and sharing it with others. I constantly go back to, what was it, 1935, the Wildlife Conservation Act, with FDR and the history there. That is critically important. Why is it that we are all doing what we're doing, and why do we get this passion? Again, maybe it's that little orange lizard that you see, maybe it's that, time where I think it was Dave, you and Tim were hunting together, and, you got to, be there when Tim shot his first deer, and, you stuck another one just because, you wanted to double. But again, those are the types of experiences that, we as hunters, we as outdoorsmen, we want to share with each other. We want to share it with our children. But there's that passion that's there that, again, it's unique and special, I think, to this industry. That's one of the things that I love about it. And every time I meet someone new, I went down the list of the people of the logos behind me, I can tell you their personal story. I can tell you why they're doing what they're doing, and I'm proud to be able to represent them and continue to kind of explore, who else has that story that we need to tell. Again, I think you end up getting a longer term experience and viewpoint. I'm sure Kevin's got the same perspective, maybe from a little bit of a different lens, but as I compare and contrast, relationships, I think, is something that's a consistent thing between the two. But when I really look at the passion and the why, it comes down to the people and, again, the experience. And that's a big contrasting difference between the two.
Yeah.
Well said.
No, you're right on. You're right. It is kind of funny because that relationship thing, I work in the banking industry and have done it for many, many years, well over a decade now. And it is kind of funny because it is, you build those relationships, but your relationships are built on different things, right? Yep. And there's certain parts that, like, I'm a hunter, that's my passion. I'm an outdoorsman, that's my passion. And you can pick up on that very, very easily from somebody else that's on the other side of the table, right? Mm-hmm. Talking to you. And you relate to them in different ways. Like, it might not be that, it might be cars, it might be other things. But it is, but those that are those people, you can just feel that passion from it. And maybe that's because that's my passion too, right? Yeah. But it is amazing to see that kind of passion that you can carry forward, not only from your job that you have, your day-to-day job, but into the field, into the outdoorsman, and just share an experience with somebody that maybe you've never hunted with, but you can still share that same experience with. So right on, man. Cool.
I'll tell you one thing. I don't have many regrets in the hunting, working in the hunting industry. There's only one regret I have, and that's hunting with Noko. He's the worst person to hunt with ever. Just kidding.
Well, it is kind of funny. I like how Todd was talking about, like, yeah, one of the coolest moments, Dave, and I agree with this. One of the coolest moments was you being there for my first deer, right? But now it has just completely changed you. Listen, a-hole, I'm hunting in that spot today. You're not hunting there. That's just the way it's going to be. Get over it, and that's what's going on.
This is so funny, though, Todd. Seriously. So we go behind this one spot, right? We got this big 300 acres. So Tim and I get to this spot to get our cameras out, and we just got these reveal cameras. We're all excited because they take pictures, send me your phone. We're like pumped. So we look out, and they're doing the hay bales. They're like they're clearing the hay fields. We look out, and we see huge horns. We're like, wow, there's deer out there. We couldn't believe it. So we got our binoculars. We're looking, and there's like these massive bucks. So we're like, oh my gosh. So Tim and I are like, it's getting darker and darker, and we're like, let's just drive the truck out there and throw a camera up. Why not? So we go out there, throw a camera up in a bush real quick, leave. And like not even 5 minutes goes by, a picture comes over. It's this huge buck looking at the camera. We're like, what? And so the joke is every day we get pictures. And now, but there's all these bucks. For the 3 nights we were there, like, we were just scouting.
All over that area.
That area had all these bucks. Every single picture Tim gets right now is a flock of turkeys. Every single time.
No deer.
Every day. I go in right now. I'm going to pull this thing up right now. Look. First picture of Pops. Let me this thing load. Come on, baby.
You already nicknamed him?
First picture of Pops is turkeys. It's literally unbelievable to me that there's that many turkeys that just keep coming to his camera. And literally no deer.
Dave, do you know why? Jamie drove out there and hung some Irish Spring bars of soap in that area.
I'm sure he probably did. He probably did. Oh, man.
Never thought of that. That's a good idea.
Quiet.
Oh, God. All right, Todd. Well, hey, it's been fun hanging out with you, man. It's been a good time. And we'll post some more stuff about you. If you want to learn more about Todd, we'll have it in the description below with some links, all this stuff. Definitely appreciate you doing this. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks for doing Team BHP as well. And keep up the great work, man, honestly. Do more of those videos, man. Those videos were great I saw online in business. Just unbelievable. Very, very well done. So very good job. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Nice
man.
talking to you, Todd.
We'll see you guys.
Thanks so much for listening to the Bowhunter Planet podcast, online at BowHunterPlanet.com with your host, Team BHP. Check us out on Facebook at BowHunterPlanet. We'll catch you next time.